Welcome everyone. Hello. So this is gonna be a really fucking fun one. So buckle up because I love Nidoking to death. It's probably my top 10 to 20 favorite Pokemon. I have a plushie literally sitting on my desk right next to me. Um, I think a lot of other people just love Nidoking. I mean, I love Nidoqueen as well. Nidoking's super fucking dope, and that change video is equally as enthusiastic and energetic and fun and in depth, and those changes are equally as awesome. But I don't want to repeat myself too much, so I would recommend watching the Nidoqueen video first because there's a lot of like preliminary. At the very least, watch like the first 5 or 10 minutes of the Nidoqueen video at the very least, and then watch this video is my recommendation. Obviously, you can not listen and just watch this video anyways. I don't. It doesn't matter that much. I'm sure I'll repeat myself a little bit. I just don't want to do it too much. So main things to cover here is the reasoning for the changes and the way they function, and most importantly, the way it compares to Nidoqueen, because in the past, Nidoking was kind of just better than Nidoqueen in almost every way because of stat distribution. Obviously, Nidoqueen was technically bulkier, and yeah, Nidoqueen was not bad, especially once they added Sheer Force. You could also argue that pre-Sheer Force, Nidoqueen was actually better in a lot of cases, because of the bulk was actually nice for, like, absorbing toxic spikes and competitive. And this is not competitive, this is in game. And in game, they had garbage Lawrence sets, and just were extremely underwhelming and just sad Pokemon, especially because Sheer Force is often locked as a hidden ability, and so it's just not good. So these guys are immensely powerful now. So the way I phrased it in the Nidoqueen video is the same thing I'm going to say now. Nidoking is an offensive Pokemon that is bulky and has defensive utility, while Nidoqueen is a defensive Pokemon that is very strong and has offensive prowess, if that makes sense. So they are designed to be defensive and offensive, which obviously fits given the fact that it literally says that they are more defensive and more offensive, and that's the whole point of the two, is that, Nidoking is like an angry territorial guy, and Nidoqueen is also angry, but like she protects the babies and she is more defensive, and Nidoking has like rivals with the males and they fight and shit. But anyways, God, I adore Nidoking and Nidoqueen, but this is gonna be such a fun video. So Nidoking is extremely powerful. Also something I want to quickly cover because you might be looking at it and be like, what the fuck, why? The pre-evolutions are very strong and very viable in their own right. And they are poison normal type. So the other poison normal type is Licky Licky, and if you are curious as to why that is that or how that functions, you can go watch that video. It's on the playlist. You can find it on my channel, and you can check out the sheets for Licky Licky. But these guys are the other poison normal type, besides one more who is a form-changing Pokemon that I will not talk about until we get to them. They are a long ways away. But Nidorino and Nidoran are like fast offensive poison normal types, which is really fun because it's a very unique dual style combination. And I talked about this more in depth in the Nidoran video, in the Nidoqueen video. But basically, you trade a neutrality to fighting for a complete immunity to Ghost, which is more than worth it. And in addition to getting that complete immunity to Ghost, which again is one of the best offensive types in the game, only resisted by Ghost and Dark. Not resisted by Ghost, but normal. Sorry, only resisted by Dark, and then only immune by a normal type. But regardless, Poison Normal is a great typing. Obviously, we have Grafaiai now, but that's not in Gen 7, so every single type combination is used in Pokemon Sweltering Sun. So we will get to those eventually. I considered for a second, if you want to hear more about this in depth, you can watch the Nidoqueen video, but I did talk about how I considered Poison Fairy and Poison Steel respectively for these two, but I ended up finding other Pokemon that are going to be Poison Fairy and Poison Steel, so I figured Poison Ground is a lot more iconic, and it's a lot better offensively. It's a better dual stab combination. Much better dual stab combination. So Poison Ground and Poison Ground for both is just much more fitting and very cool. So yeah, I'm really hyped to get into this. So Nidoran and Nidorino are very powerful, but Nidoking is ridiculously strong. One of the strongest Pokemon in terms of damage output in the hack. Obviously there are more, but it is definitely up there in terms of raw offensive power. So, as he should be. I mean, read these dex entries and you'll see just how powerful he is. And you might be thinking, why did I remove Sheer Force? And the reason for that is, number one, for quote-unquote balancing, and number two, because of the massive stat boosts. These two abilities complement each other better, while Sheer Force is kind of just a quote-unquote better version of these two. Not better, because it's not better, but Sheer Force doesn't have the best synergy with these other two abilities. So, for example, if I had Ruthless in Sheer Force, or I had Hustle in Sheer Force, like, it doesn't really... I actually I'm talking too fast. If you are familiar with the old cheats or like other changes, you might have remembered that I actually had Hustle and Sheer Force on Nidoking for some time. But I actually changed it to Ruthless and Sheer Force because Ruthless is really fucking cool on it, and I just think that these two abilities are much more complementary. And so in exchange, I gave him even more attack, and better stat distribution as a whole, to compensate the loss of Sheer Force. So, yeah, he is not going to miss Sheer Force whatsoever. Trust me, take my word, he is not going to miss it. And he is an absolute beast. So, stat-wise, 141 base attack, just looking at him, that is very fitting. With these two abilities, both of their abilities boost his attack by 50%. So essentially, both of his abilities give him a choice band boost. The difference is these are both conditional boosts. So I'll get into what these do in a second, I promise. But they are both essentially a choice band boost under certain conditions. And these conditions are very easy to meet, and they're very, very good and strong. You have a 91 base speed, which is a very respectable, solid speed tier. So if you check the speed tier guide here, base 90 is a very crowded speed tier, and I definitely, totally, intentionally gave them base 91 speed just to outspeed the base 90 tier, just because I love Nidoking. So, yeah, you outspeed that base 90 tier, you outspeed all the ones below it, obviously. But obviously you aren't that fast. Like, you are going to be wanting to run Choice Scarf or priority moves or Rock Polish in a lot of cases, or Dragon Dance. Oh man, Dragon Dance is nuts, and so is Rock Polish. I'll get into the nitty-gritty of everything. I promise I'll get to it. There's a lot to cover here, so just stay tuned. Or not stay tuned, but sit down. You know, sit back, get some snacks, whatever you want to do, because this will be a longer one. Even if I talk at 1,000,000 miles per hour like I always do, it's still going to take at least half an hour to cover probably, and that's with me being efficient. So, much bulkier because these dex entries talk about how his hide is like steel, and his horns are so hard they can pierce a diamond and all this stuff. Also, melee combat, like none of these dex entries imply anything whatsoever about special attacking stats. Maybe the Venom, but otherwise, like these are all just bragging about how fucking physically strong this man is. Like this is just an absolute physical Chad of a Pokemon. So that is the main reason for no more mixed attacking. Also because it would be heavily outclassed by other mixed attackers, and also because of the base stat total. So these are semi-pseudo legendaries. So I have a bunch of Pokemon now where they are 3 stages and they follow this same base stat total pattern of 335, 455, and 575, and they are, you know, 20 and 40 evolutions, as opposed to pseudos, which are 25 and 45, and then they are 480 and 500 based. Sorry, 480 and 600 base stat totals rather, for the last 2 forms. And semi-pseudos and pseudo legendaries all have the middle evolution being viable, meaning, like, obviously until level 40 they're great, but then past level 40 you can technically keep them with Eviolite and it wouldn't be a bad option. Especially in Nidorino's case, because he has stab moves with Hustle that Nidoking does not get. So in a lot of cases, Nidorino can actually be stronger with like Skull Bash or Quick Attack than Nidoking is. And Nidorino is also 5 points faster than Nidoking. So Eviolite Nidorino is genuinely a viable option, which is really cool because Nidorino has an awesome design too. You know, he needs some love. He's that original OG versus Gengar in the fucking intro to Pokemon fight. Like, he's a very cool fucking design. I like Nidorino as well. Nidoking is obviously overall better because of the bulk that isn't relying on Eviolite, although Nidorino does have a different typing, and he is faster, and he has normal stab as opposed to ground stab, which is good with Hustle because there are Hustle moves that are normal type that aren't ground type, although they do have Stomping Tantrum for ground physical Hustle stab, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm going to talk about each individual ability one after another, but first I want to cover the stats and the pre-evolutions abilities. Actually, I'll cover the pre-evolutions abilities at the end of the video, just so I can get to Nidoking first, but the pre-evolutions are great, alright? Just keep that in mind, they are great. So, I'll cover Nidoking stats, Nidoking abilities, specific moves that work with those abilities, then I'll cover pre-evolution abilities, then I'll cover the rest of the moves, and then we'll be done. So, also, as for the normal typing justification or logic, they are kind of amorphous beasts of just random fucking animals lumped together. I also just think it's cool, and I think it's useful, and I think the typing works well enough for them to have it. So, yeah, let me drink my water. So that's super cool. What am I trying to say here? So, Nidoking stats. Massive 141 base attack, boosted by 50% by Ruthless and Hustle. 90 base HP, which is same as Nidoqueen because they are very similar in size. 118 base defense, which is 10 lower. So basically, the way that these stats work is Nidoqueen is 10 points higher in defense, but 10 points lower in attack and speed. However, they are both still very bulky and very strong and fast for their stats spread. So it's not like it's that big of a deal. Their main differences come from their abilities, and obviously the stats are also important, but the abilities are our main difference between the two, and their move pools are also relatively different. Not really, but different enough. Like Nidoqueen gets more defensive options. Nidoking gets way more offensive options with Ruthless and Hustle specifically. So, God, this is so cool. I can't wait to talk about it. So, we have very solid 91, 18, 80 bulk. So your 91 base speed is great with Scarf or Rock Polish or Dragon Dance. However, you're not always gonna be able to outspeed whatever's in front of you. So to have a good bulk to fall back on is very nice. Or you can just run a flat out tanky set. Without even investing in speed, depending on the battle that's in front of you. So you have access to infinite usability capsules, which is really cool. So what that means is you can swap between Ruthless and Hustle or Merciless and Hustle on the pre-evolutions. Also, side note, I like how the abilities kind of turn into like variants of one another. So like Merciless is, a critted when poison ability. So Ruthless is an ability that relies on crits as well. So I think that's kind of cool. And then Hustle obviously stays throughout the whole line just because it's a great ability with all of the buffs I gave it. So yes, I did buff Hustle in a lot of indirect ways. Well, they're direct ways, but I didn't actually buff the effect of Hustle. Rather, I just buffed a bunch of moves and items to work with Hustle much better. Hustle was already a great ability. Honestly, people hate it way too much. It's a great ability, especially when you have the choice. If you don't have the choice, then it kind of sucks because then you have like, yeah, okay, I didn't even need the power boost, and now I missed for no reason. But if you have the choice between Hustle and something else, you run Hustle when you need the boost, and you don't run Hustle when you don't need it. It's that simple, and it's that easy. So either way, I want to mention some stuff here. So obviously great bulk, fits very well given their Pokedex entries and their design, being these giant armored tanks of a monster. So that's awesome. Very solid bulk. You can run Assault Vest to a great use, and that's really awesome. And of course, it takes great advantage of like Scarf sets and speed boosting sets as well. You also have stab priority in Poison Dart, and then you have priority with Sucker Punch and First Impression as well. So, and all of those do not miss with Hustle. So I will talk about Hustle first, then I'll talk about Ruthless, all right? So Hustle first. Hustle gives you a 50% boost to your attack, so it's a free choice band boost. And in exchange, you are losing 20% accuracy on your moves, which is already very good. But I've made tons of moves that don't miss anymore, meaning they still get boosted by Hustle, but they do not miss anymore. In addition, I've added a bunch of new moves that boost your accuracy, and a bunch of new items that boost your accuracy. Or rather, I buffed the 2 accuracy boosting items. So Wide Lens boosts your accuracy by 15% and 30%. So Wide Lens on Nidoking makes even a regular move like Poison Jab with Hustle, 92% accurate instead of 88% accurate, like it would have been with the 10% boost. So that's a big deal. That is amazing. So it's essentially like you get a choice band boost, but you can switch your moves. It's insane, and you have so much coverage and so much priority and so much powerful, fun options to use. It's truly an offensive monster. So you have access to moves that don't miss. All right, so these moves are U-turn, which is great to swap out, and it's 75 base power. Stomping Tantrum is 75 base power ground type stab that never misses with Hustle. So what you can do is just number one, spam Stomping Tantrum because it's a 75 base power stab move that doesn't miss with Hustle, versus Earthquake and Seismic Fist can all miss, and make a ton kick and Headlong Rush and all these strong ground type moves can't miss. Sorry, they can miss. Stomping Tantrum cannot. And the main reason I did that is number one, just because it's cool, and number two, because it's really cool that a Hustlemon can actually use an inaccurate move, miss it, and then the next turn they can guarantee that their Stomping Tantrum will be doubled in power. So, because Stomping Tantrum works when you miss a move. So, for example, say I'm running Gunk Shot, which is 110 base power, 90% accurate, without any Wide Lens, without anything, that will be minus 18% accuracy, 72% accurate Gunk Shot, which is not the greatest. Obviously, it's not great at all. That's why you would want to run an item with that, or some other way to bypass the accuracy boost, like Rock Polish, for example, or Home Claws. But Rock Polish also gives you +2 speed and +1 accuracy, by the way. But either way, Stomping Tantrum is incredible because you can use something like a regular raw Gunk Shot, and you can be a Chad and try to land it, and if you miss it, you hit, if you get that 28% chance to miss, then you can click Stomping Tantrum next turn for a flat 150 base power stab move coming off of 141 base attack that will not miss. No matter what you do, it won't miss. So chef's kiss right there. It's great. It's really, really strong, and it fits his his angry vibe. Like, you know, you're getting pissed off, so you're just stomping around and shit. It's cool as fuck. You also have Circle Throw and Dragon Tail, both of which are negative priority and 90 base power. Dragon Tail is earlier. Dragon Tail is when you evolve. Circle Throw is much later because it's a better coverage move, you know, because fighting is actually like super effective on useful things versus Dragon is only super effective on Dragon. But either way, it's a 90 base power move that can't miss with Hustle, so that's really nice to have. And it's negative priority, so you are bulky enough to be able to pull off a Circle Throw very nicely. And of course, that switches the opponent out, which can be very useful. Skull Bash is incredible on Nidorino, especially, but it's also good on Nidoking. So what Skull Bash does now, it's a great buff to Skull Bash. So Skull Bash cannot miss with Hustle, and it gives you a coil boost. So essentially, you will get +1 defense on the first turn, and then on the second turn, you get +1 attack and +1 accuracy. So you can use Power Herb Skull Bash, or you can just use raw Eviolite Nidorino Skull Bash. You can get Eviolite boosts with your good defense stat on Nidorino, and your 96 base speed, so you're actually faster than Nidoking, and you get Stab on Skull Bash, and it doesn't miss, so you can just get that +1 defense on the first turn, you know, take whatever physical hit is in front of you very nicely, and then you can get that boom, smack them with that Skull Bash 130 base power stab move coming off of 90, I believe 98 base attack on Nidorino, which is boosted by Hustle, and that becomes immense. So again, 50% boost is huge. I could show you the equivalent, but I'm pretty sure it would go over the stat boundary cap. Like 141 at +1 is, yeah, like 628, which is like base what? Like 235 attack? Yeah, 237 or 236. Base 236 attack is what you have almost with Hustle with max out attack. So if you have an adamant max attack nature, max attack investment Nidoking, you're at 236 base attack with both your abilities actually. With Ruthless and Hustle, you are at 236 base attack. So it is incredibly strong. So what am I trying to say here? I wanted to go to Hustle stuff. So Hustle, yeah, oh god, this is glitching. There's more mons with this ability, obviously. Just ignore. Oh god, it's like not loading in properly. Whatever, excuse it, let's look it up. Whatever. You have Skull Bash, which is great, alright? You can get that +1 accuracy, and then you can use other moves. So for example, you can then click Poison Jab right away, you know, right next, or Cross Poison, whatever it is, and you won't miss anymore with Hustle on your other moves after that Skull Bash. So it's also viable on Nidoking. Like, it's not like it's not viable on Nidoking at all. It's just way better on Nidorino because you get that stab and because you're faster. So that's excellent. Flail and the Reversal are similar in that they are better on Nidorino because Nidorino gets stab on Flail, and Flail and Reversal, when they max out, the reason I made those Hustle moves is number one, because they're kind of niche moves anyways, so making them more viable with Hustle was cool. So they're actually like really worth using. And also because it would kind of fucking suck to use an Endure set and live on 1 HP and then miss and then just die. That's kind of fucking stupid. Same logic as priority moves. It kind of sucks to want to finish something off with a priority move quickly, like boom, let me bullet punch him real quick, and now you miss it, and it's like, well, fuck, you know? So I wanted a lot of moves that you would not want to ever miss to not miss. So U-turn is the similar example. You know, you want to switch out. If you miss that U-turn, it's kind of shitty. So the logic of those not missing is pretty sound in my opinion. Same goes for negative priority moves like Circle Throw and Dragon Tail. Also because they're, again, niche moves. A lot of these moves were kind of niche-ish, like Circle Throw, Dragon Tail, Punishment, Beat Up. These types of moves are kind of Focus Punch. All these moves are niche, so buffing them to make them amazing on all of the new Pokemon that get Hustle is really cool in my opinion. It makes them much more viable moves. So, yeah, there's tons more Hustle Pokemon. There's videos for them, and I already talk about it in depth. But yeah, Flail and Reversal is great on Nidorino and Nidoking. Reversal is good on Nidoking. Focus Punch is huge by a tutor. So Focus Punch is 180 base power, and you get, so not only can Focus Punch not miss, but it also gives you +1 accuracy after you connect the Focus Punch. So you can use Focus Punch with Hustle sets, and then after you land that first Focus Punch, none of your other moves will miss anymore, which is amazing. Excuse me. Beat Up is great. Because you have 141 base attack, the power of Beat Up is done this way. So essentially what you're going to be doing is taking your base attack, dividing it by 10 and adding 5. So 14 plus 5 is 19. That's the power of Beat Up for your Pokemon. And if you have 6 Pokemon with, say for example you had 6 Nidokings for some fucking reason. Obviously it's not something you would be doing, but unless you're Chad, you know, you just want to play the game however the fuck you want, be my guest. But anyways, the point is that Beat Up with 6 Pokemon, and let's say your other Pokemon all have 15 base power Beat Up. 15 times 5 plus 19 It's 94 base power. So that's a 94 base power multi-hit dark move that cannot miss with Hustle, which is really, really good. So that's awesome. Sucker Punch. So I'm going to cover the priority moves, but priority moves are great on Nidoking because you aren't that quick and because they don't miss with Hustle. So Hustle is much better than Ruthless in a lot of situations. So I just want to get that out of the way. Like, don't underestimate Hustle. Hustle's a great ability. It's amazing. Punishment isn't. I'm going to be annoyed if there's people who are still like, I don't like it though. Like, I just don't like it. It's like, dude, there's so many ways to bypass it now. Like, just you can literally run an entire moveset where none of your moves will miss, and it's just a free power boost. You can run fucking Stomping Tantrum, Poison Dart, U-turn, and fourth move slot can be any one of these moves, and you can just run that, and then there's no room to complain. Like I don't. It's just, it bothers me when people just like dismiss an ability because they just don't like that you can miss with it, as if it's like bad because of that, you know. Like the boost is so strong, it's worth the accuracy loss in general, even if I didn't buff it. But I like the ability so much that I figured I'd buff it. Why not? It's fun. So yeah, sorry for that unrelated rant. I hope that didn't sound too angry. I just that's a pet peeve of mine. So Smart Strike is amazing because Smart Strike is like Focus Punch, where it boosts your accuracy after you hit it. So it's 75 base power and it gives you +1 accuracy and it can't miss. So Smart Strike in conjunction with all these other moves is amazing. Beat Up and Punishment are great for dark type coverage with Hustle. Power Trip is amazing as well. Power Trip is 20 base power, but it gets 20 base power for each boost you have, and you get a +1 attack boost after each Power Trip. So say, for example, you're using Dragon Dance, your Power Trip after Dragon Dance is 60 base power, and then or Home Claws with Power Trip is amazing. So Home Claws gives you 3 boosts because Home Claws gives you +2 accuracy now. So your Power Trip will be 80 base power, and then you'll get a +1 attack boost each time you click it, and then you only have 3 uses. So by the end of it, you'll be at like what, +4 attack, and Power Trip will be like 160 base power. So it's really, really strong. Raging Fury, I think I gave it to him. If I didn't, I'm gonna add it right now. I'm pretty sure I gave him Raging Fury though. Right? Please tell me I did. I didn't. Oh my god, this is blasphemy, dude. He needs it. Yeah, he definitely needs Raging Fury. Let me... I don't know. Same level as Power Trip is probably fair. Nowhere else to throw it in anyways. So what Raging Fury is it's 50 base power, but if you move second, it's 100 base power, and that doesn't miss with Hustle, and you get a +1 attack boost. So it's a physical fire type move that's either as strong as Power Up Punch or 100 base power, depending on if you moved first or second. Or if they hit you first or not, rather. It's not just first and second, it's if they hit you. So if they use a setup move, it doesn't work. It only works if they hit you. But you're bulky, so it's not like that's a hard thing to pull off. Same goes for like Circle Throw and Dragon Tail and stuff, the other negative priority moves. Not that Raging Fury is negative priority, it's not, but yeah. So that's all really awesome shit. Finishing Blow is also a Hustle move. So Finishing Blow will not miss with Hustle, and that it works with Ruthless and Hustle. There are actually a handful of moves that work with both Ruthless and Hustle. Those moves being, I believe those moves are Finishing Blow and First Impression. I believe both of those moves work with both abilities, meaning that they always crit and they can't miss. So Finishing Blow becomes 78 base power with both Ruthless and Hustle, and it gives you +3 attack if you kill something. So you can use like Finishing Blow, Power Trip, Raging Fury, False Strike. All these moves will boost your stats and won't miss. So that's incredible with Hustle sets and Ruthless sets. So False Strike is a Dragon type move that is pretty weak, but it will give you +1 attack and accuracy for each time you click it, which is incredible. And it will never knock out the opponent, which might sound like a bad thing, but it's actually good because what you can do is you can use your teammates, or you can use Battlecry yourself to neuter the opponent's attack stat to a point where they're doing no damage to you, and then you can click False Strike 6 times, or rather, oh no, you should be 5 PP. Hold on. Yeah, that should be 5 PP, hold on. I think it's already 5 PP in game. I think I just forgot to change. Okay, this is not, hold on. That was very inaccurate. I don't know why that was even a new accuracy thing. It's a new move. That shouldn't have that there. Yeah, that was odd. All right, that's better. So 5 PP. So you can get +5 attack and +5 accuracy for free. And then you can use Finishing Blow. So what you could do is you could use False Strike 3 times, get +3 attack, +3 accuracy. Then you can click Finishing Blow and get +6 attack. And then boom, you know, and now you're just fucking like, that's insane. And that's a really niche thing, but it's very, very good in those situations. So it's definitely worth considering using for sure. That accuracy boost alone is worth it. You can just click it once. I mean, it's good because you also can't be taunted. Versus with Home Claws, you can be taunted. So you can just click False Strike once, and then, you know, click your moves, click your attacking moves. You don't need to click anything else. So that's awesome. All right, that's all of the hustle stuff except for priority. So priority, you have 50 base power stab poison dart, which is poison type stab, and then you have 75 base power sucker punch, which is the same power as poison dart but stab, and then you have quick attack, which is only really good on Nidorino because it's stab. So Nidorino has dual stab priority, while Nidoking only has poison dart for stab. But then sucker punch is basically as strong, and then also Nidorino doesn't get sucker punch, so it's like basically having a replacement for quick attack right there. So it's not a big deal. But that's really fucking awesome. So what you can do is you can use that powerful ass sucker punch and poison dart and bypass your 91 base speed and just be really quick and really, really fast and really, really strong with hustle. Lastly, the last hustle move I will talk about that is relevant. Oh, they also have so I already talked about all these. I talked about U-turn, stomping tantrum, circle throw, dragon tail, skull bash, flow reversal, focus punch. Last resort is post game. It's niche, but it's there. It's by a tutor. Beat up, punishment, power trip, raging fury, false strike, shadow punch, smart strike, finishing blow. Those are all of the regular moves it gets for hustle. Shadow punch is via TM, and it's 80 base power, ghost step coverage, and it never misses. It's just a very solid, strong move. It's basically like you have stab on it with hustle almost, which is very good because ghost step is very good offensively. And then you have poison dart, quick attack, sucker punch, and then lastly, but not least, definitely not least, is first impression, which is 60 base power, but it becomes 90 base power because it always crits. And on top of the hustle boost, that becomes 135 base power. So that's insane. And it's very nice, and it's a TM, so you can just teach it on and off, because obviously you can only use that on the first turn of battle if you're not familiar. So via TM, you can teach that on and off if you want that first impression. If you don't need it, then you don't run it. Simple as that. And that's a perfect segue to Ruthless, because first impression always crits, and that's another move that is taken advantage of with Ruthless. So Ruthless is a new ability. It is repurposed from Sniper, and what that means is that you are getting a 50% boost to your critical hits. The main buff being the moves are massively reworked to be insane with Ruthless. So you have all of these 100% crit rate moves, which always crit no matter what, and then you have these moves, which will crit half the time. With a Sculpt Lens, these will always crit. So Nidoking gets access to Stab, Drove Run, and Stab Cross Poison with Ruthless. And also keep in mind, all of these moves work with Hustle. Not that they don't miss, although these top two actually do work that way. These top two right here, first impression, finishing blow, they are Hustle moves as well. But yeah, they are great in the sense that like you can still run a wide lens cross poison set without having to teach. Like you don't need to change your move set between abilities swapping if you don't want to. So that's really awesome. So you have stuff. So you have Drove Run and Cross Poison for dual stab. You have Jagged Edge, X Scissor, Laceration, Night Slash, Cross Chop, and maybe even Psycho Cut. I forget. You have tons of 50% crit moves. All right, tons of them for coverage. All the coverage you would ever need, and then your amazing dual stab right there. Yeah. So you have Cross Poison, Drove Run, Night Slash, Psycho Cut, Cross Chop, X Scissor, Laceration, Jagged Edge. So dual stab, dark, psychic, fighting. Bug, steel, and rock coverage, all 50% critical hit rates, which is again great. And then let me actually add Raging Fury to Nidorino as well. To do that, I only did on it yet. Power Chip and Raging Fury. There we go. So that's amazing stuff. And then you have the moves that always crit. Which is even better. So these moves, you don't even need to run a Scope Lens. So you only get one Scope Lens and one Razor Claw. So you can only run 2 Ruthless Mons at most. Or rather, you can only run 2 Scope Lens. You can only run 2 50% crit moves on your Ruthless Mons. That sounded wrong as well. I'm trying to say that you can only do that twice, unless you're running all 100% crit moves, which Nidoking gets more than 4 of them. So Nidoking has First Impression and Finishing Blow, which I already explained what those do. And then Nidoking has access to Wicked Blow, Storm Throw, and Stone Edge, all of which will always crit. So all 3 of those moves are 80 base power and 90% accuracy. So with Ruthless, those get a 50% boost from the crit, which are 120 base power, and then another 50% boost, and they become 180 base power. So Wicked Blow, Storm Throw, and Stone Edge are 180 base power, 90% accurate moves. And another great thing so one of the main advantages of Ruthless over Hustle is number 1. So here's what I'll say. Ruthless is a lot more limiting, but it's just as strong. And here's what I'll say. Main pros of Hustle is priority moves and accuracy boosting moves and items such as Wide Lens and all of the accuracy boosting moves I talked about. That's the main advantages of Hustle. Main advantages of Ruthless is it's a lot less reliant on the accuracy buff, as it is just that you have to run either. So Ruthless is more limiting in the sense that you have to run Scope Lens with these moves to get consistent damage, or you have to run, one of these 5 moves that you get up here to have item freedom. So Ruthless is a lot. They work out really well in terms of how they balance around each other. Like they are very balanced in how they interact, meaning like not one ability is not better than the other. It's really up to personal preference and situation. So, oh shit, I need to click poison out this fight, run Hustle. Oh shit, I need cross poison this fight, run Ruthless, whatever it is. It's really as simple as that. And Stone Edge and First Impression are TMs, which is nice. So you can really reteach these 2 crit moves as needed. Obviously, the other ones you would have to keep. Finishing Blow, Wicked Blow, Storm Blade, you have to keep those. Same with all of these 50% crit moves, you'd have to keep all these. You also have Focus Energy early game, which is a niche option, and a couple of Z moves also boost your crit rate. So you could technically use those in conjunction with Ruthless if you wanted to. For example, Ruthless plus Scope Lens plus Focus Energy plus priority moves would always crit. And another main advantage of Ruthless is that it ignores Intimidate, and it ignores defensive boost. So for example, Totem Pokemon with defensive boost, you crit right through it. Your opponent is setting up Iron Defense, you crit right through it. And then most importantly, when they intimidate you or they drop your attack with a Battle Cry or a Charm or a side effect of a move or whatever it is, you ignore that attack drop and you just crit right through it and you deal massive damage. So yeah, you might be thinking in your head, aren't these 2 kind of overpowered? In the grand scheme of the hack, I wouldn't say so, but they are definitely in the upper echelon of mons. Not to say that there is any mons that are quote unquote better than the others, because again, every mon has something to deal with other mons. For example, I'm just going to scroll to a random mon and just see what pops up. All right, Machamp or Pinsir. That's not a fair example. I'm going to show like a lower base stats little mon that you might just look at it and be like, well, this is worse, isn't it? Okay, Jinx. Well, Jinx, you got to go watch that video if you haven't. It's an awesome video. It has tons of it has a signature move with Charming Kiss and overpowered ass Omni boosting sword power bullshit, and it's so strong. I love Jinx now. It's so cool. But for example, Jinx can just click Influx, Specs Influx, or Specs Frostflare and kills it in 1 hit. That's the most simple way you can deal with Nidoking. With a trainer's Nidoking, obviously, the player's Nidoking versus an offensive opponent's Jinx has much more freedom because you aren't AI, all right? You can actually plan out your movesets. You can just run Sucker Punch and one-shot the Jinx, all right? So, or First Impression and one-shot the Jinx. So that's not me saying that Jinx will beat your Nidoking, but that your Jinx can beat trainers' Nidokings, if that makes sense. And that goes for any Pokemon. Any Pokemon has something to deal with any Pokemon has something to deal with any other Pokemon because of the sheer volume of moves and items and abilities that they have now. Anything can deal with anything. And that's the point, all right? I don't want you to be hindered by using specific Pokemon. I want you to be able to use whatever you want, however you want. I want you to be able to use cool, unique-ass Pokemon, and I want them to all feel distinct from one another and fun and interesting. So I hope that was a fun video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. A couple things I'll cover at the end will just be... I'm just going to comb through and see if I forgot anything. Can I? Dude, there we go. I'm just going to comb through their moves, see if I forgot anything to mention. They have a lot of utility options that I covered in the Nidorino video and Nidoking video. If you want to go watch that, I would recommend it after this one. They have tons of amazing coverage, obviously, with all of the Ruthless moves and Hustle moves on top of their regular move pool. They already have like coverage for everything. They have Swords Dance. They have Dragon Dance. Dragon Dance being absolutely absurd on them. It's so fun. God. I'm like very much fanboying right now, if you can't tell. They have tons of great coverage, all right, just everything they could ever want. They have a physical coverage move that is over 80 base power for every type besides flying. So every single type besides flying, they have an 80 plus base power coverage move for physical coverage move at that. Tons, and a lot of their types, they actually have 100 base power plus, like Power Whip, Megaton Kick, Iron Tail, Aqua Tail, all these amazing moves. Just so many options. I'm not going to cover them all. You can look up what they all do if you type in search all moves here, and you can also read all the moves that they get here. But I covered the specific ones for Ruthless and Hustle, and then a couple of other standout options. So, yeah, I think that's about it, honestly. I really enjoyed this one. I hope you guys did as much as I did, and if you're new here and you liked it, please subscribe. Also, please leave a comment. Please share this video, that kind of stuff. It really helps. Even just something as small as liking my videos and leaving a comment will help with the algorithm. So if you like my hack and you are like, yo, this is really fucking cool, I want more people to see this, the way you can make that happen is by boosting the algorithm, all right? You know, you can share this around, you can join my server. It's in the feel free to do that if you want. It's in my description, and you can like talk to me in there or talk to other people who are fans of my stuff in there. You can get live updates on my work. So if you're curious as to like the release date and like my progress on the hack, you can see live updates in there. Although I also upload videos after every mon is finished in here. So yeah, thank you for listening, everybody. Seriously, leave a comment if you got this far, just to boost algorithm and stuff. These two videos I am making especially high effort in terms of my enthusiasm. Not because, well, number one, because I just like them a lot. And number two, because I have a feeling that they're going to get a lot of views just based on the title and the thumbnail and the Pokemon that it is, because they're very popular Pokemon. And they're also Pokemon that people are like, oh shit, I want to see how they change that, you know? So yeah, thank you so much, everybody. And yeah, I think that's about it. See ya.